Welcome to the Music Nut Program. I'm John. Thank you so much for joining me today. And welcome back to the latest edition of It's Chris Whitley Wednesday. On today's show, I will discuss Chris Whitley's fifth album and first live album released on May 16, 2000 on Messenger Records, live at Martyrs. This, like Dirt Floor from 1998, features one performer, Chris Whitley. Vocals, guitars, banjo, foot stomp. However, while that album was more reflective, it was acoustic, it was very gentle, this is Chris on fire. This guitar is plugged in, and it's loud, and it's raucous, and it's wicked. A fantastic example of how Chris was as a live performer. And again, Chris is one of my biggest concert misses. This is focused on his first four studio albums, primarily on Living with the Law and Den of Ecstasy. He rarely plays it straight on here. We also get two songs that were never released on a studio album, one that would be released on a later studio album, and a cover song that sounds absolutely nothing like the original. And for those of you watching, when I tell you what he covered and who did that song, you're going to be like, holy shit. But Chris Whitley was very capable of giving you tons of holy shit moments. And here's one of them. So let's go over the tracks. John Allergy produced the album. Just have to put that out there. This was recorded at Martyrs in Chicago, Illinois on August 12, 13, 14, 1999. I bought this as a new release. And I introduced a lot of smart music friends to this, and it was their gateway to Chris's music. Dirt Floor is the opener. Now, this is in scope, it's done similar to the original, but it's got a much different feel when you have that resonator guitar plugged in. Very strong opener. We go into Long Way Around from Living with the Law. Now, that had more of a jaunty feel, a little more choppy feel. This is done faster and more riveting. And Chris is on fire on this song. His vocals are fantastic. His vocals throughout this album, you really feel his passion. Excellent version, the definitive version. If you go to allmusic.com, they'll tell you that a lot of the songs on here are the definitive versions from the studio. Mostly true, especially on Long Way Around. Firefighter is one of the two new songs on here. That's very, very good. It's more reflective, more mid-tempo. It's really cool. Nice chorus on this. God Thing, a lot more sparse than the noisier version on Den of Ecstasy, but it's very well done. This, I would say, is actually a little stronger than the Den of Ecstasy version. Poison Girl from Living with the Law. This is a cool version. I think the studio's a little stronger. I do like some of the studio trickery on that. I guess I could say it just sounds better recorded on there. I think his vocals sound much better on that original version, but this is still quite strong. New Machine was originally on Den of Ecstasy. I like this version more. This is faster, has more of an edge to it. New Machine's done more mid-tempo on Den. Here, it rocks harder, and I think it's a better version. Living with the Law, this is the title song, of course, from that album. I would probably still go with the original, but this is still a very cool version. WPL, Wild Pagan Love from Den of Ecstasy. This is another strong version. Not quite as emotional as the original, but it's still very, very strong. The Model. This is a cover of a song by Kraftwerk, the innovators of electronic pop music. Originally released on the Man Machine album in 1978. It would be re-released in 1981. It would give Kraftwerk a #1 hit in the UK. This sounds nothing like the Kraftwerk version, which is synth pop before we had a name for it. It's very bright and cheery, way ahead of its time. He does it more dark and dour. It's very sad the way he sings it. It's the way he executes it that makes it his own. Now, I'm not going to say it's better. It depends what you like. The Kraftwerk version, of course, is wonderful. But Chris made this song his own on Live at Martyrs. Excellent song. Home is where you get across. This is where he's doing that cool finger picking stuff, and it's very upbeat and catchy. It's a lot of fun. What Leo Kottke was doing, what Willie Porter does live. He doesn't do it on record often, but when you see him live, once in a while, he'll go into this wicked finger picking style. That's what you have here, and it is excellent. It comes off very well live. From One Island to Another is from Dirt Floor. It sounds just as stark as that original version. His vocal on here is even more haunting than it is on the original. Very wonderful song. Serve You would later be released on Rocket House in 2001. I like this version more. I like this more as a more stark, naked song. I love Chris's vocal on here, which is very subdued at times. I think some of the studio enhancement and trickeries, there was a lot of different things going on Rocket House. Chris was really trying a lot of different sounds on it. I like it more in its acoustic, more subdued version on here. Narcotic Prayer, very cool version. I still like the original more, but it's very well done. It's doesn't really stray much from the original, but it's really cool. Big Sky Country is Chris's most famous song. And here it's mostly vocal a cappella from Chris, which is really cool. The fans are all into it in this small club, but a cool club because of these small clubs, you get the best performances from the greatest independent musicians. This is a really cool version. It doesn't sound radio friendly like the original, but I just like this version. What Chris sings the hell out of this. It is fantastic. He doesn't do the whole thing because then it leads into the last track, which is Gasket, which is from Terra Incognita, and it rocks like hell, just that like that original version. It's actually more rocking and ragged on here. Fantastic live album. 15 songs, 47 minutes, comes in, kicks your ass, gets out. So, have you heard this album? If you have not, I highly recommend this, especially if you're a fan. If you're not a fan, this is just a great, underrated live album. That sounds like a series. It sounds like one that I've already discussed with a good friend. It sounds like a series that I already know who I'd like to partner up with on some of these shows. Anyway, Live at Martyrs, killer live album. Let me know what you think of this album if you've heard it. And if you have, what are your favorite songs? What do you think of the performances on here? I think they kick ass and take names. I think they're wonderful. but please let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree. So thank you so much for watching the show. Just to give you some programming notes, I just put out an album war show on the beach where Neil Young's album On the Beach from 1974 goes against Chris Ria's version of On the Beach from 1986. I will also be making an appearance on Tim's Vinyl Confessions. Tim has graciously asked me to come back to the show. And I always love working with Tim Derling, whether it's on his books or on his YouTube show. We're going to talk about Thin Lizzy's acoustic sessions, which I did a show for here on the Music Nut program. So, again, thank you so much for joining me. Do what you love, and I'll talk to you soon.